Jerry Ratcliffe has been a media fixture covering sports in Central Virginia for almost half of a century and established himself as an integral source for all things UVA athletics as well as the Atlantic Coast Conference. In his time at the Daily Progress spanning over 4 decades, Ratcliffe was selected as the Virginia Sports Writer of the Year on 4 occasions by the National Sports Media Association. His work has been recognized on a statewide and national scale, with over 80 awards from the likes of the Associated Press Sports Editors Association, the Virginia Press Association, the Football Writers of America, and the United States Basketball Writers of America. His coverage has encompassed major college sporting events, 8 Super Bowls, and numerous golf majors, including 10 U.S. Opens. Citing golf as one of his great loves, he has been recognized for his golf coverage with the prestigious Earl Helen Sports Media Award presented by the Middle Atlantic section of the PGA of America. Ratcliffe has been a Heisman Trophy voter since the early 1980s, a charter member voter for the John Wooden Award, and an AP voter in football and basketball as president of the Atlantic Coast Conference Sports Media Association. Since 2018, he has managed and provided extensive and reliable coverage on UVA athletics through his website, jerryratcliffe.com.
Thank you, Will, and the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame, the board of directors, all my family and friends who have showed up here tonight, so many colleagues, athletes and administrators and coaches from UVA and beyond that I've covered that are here. I'd also like to thank the guy who nominated me for this award, Thomas Jones. A lot of people may not know Thomas. He was an All-American running back at Virginia back in the 90s and early 2000s, and one of the top 25 running backs in the NFL of all time. I really knew how good he was as an athlete. I didn't really know much about how far his acting career had come along until a couple of former UVA teammates called me and said, check this out on Twitter. Thomas has broken Twitter. And it came upon one night after appearing in his first nude love scene with Gabrielle Union in a TV series called Finding Mary Joan. For those who don't know, Thomas is built somewhat like a Greek god. And for all you ladies, I'll take a time out here, so if you want to Google that right now, I'll give you a couple of seconds. But thank you, Thomas. I started my career at a small town newspaper. I was dying for a sports job, wasn't really qualified at the time, so I had to wait my turn. I covered the police beat, took obituaries, did TV listings. I was assigned to cover a plane crash in a mountainous area where a photographer and myself, along with a game warden, had to carry the dead pilot's body through miles of brush down the side of the mountain. Rather eye-opening experience for a young reporter. Out of boredom, I used to kind of change the text and daily astrological forecasts, and if I've screwed up anybody's life because of that, I apologize. Sagittariuses, stay away from electrical devices this week. Libra, don't go near water. But I knew sports was my ticket. It's what was my passion. I knew that was what I wanted to do. And I was fortunate to go on and serve as sports editor of 6 daily newspapers in various parts of Virginia, 36 in Charlottesville, where I had a close association with UVA and all of its great coaches and athletes over the years, before starting my own website, which I have some dear friends here who helped revive that part of my life after it appeared my newspaper business career was over. I don't want to thank everybody individually. I'll start crying. Also, my family for all their support over the years. Excuse me. I've had the opportunity and good fortune to interview so many great athletes and coaches going all the way back to Bear Bryant, Bobby Bowden, Joe Paterno, Woody Hayes, Lou Holtz, John Wooden, Mike Krzyzewski, Dean Smith, Jim Valvano, George Wells, Frank Beamer, Jimmy Laycock, Joe Gibbs, Bill Walsh, on and on. Two of the great athletes that I had the opportunity to cover are here tonight, also going on into this great hall. Alongside me, Ryan Zimmerman, who helped build Virginia baseball into what it is today, and became the face of the Washington Nationals for 2 decades. I mean, how can you follow that act? I mean, he's unbelievable. Sean Moore, who you just met, took Virginia to places it's never been. I remember George Welsh telling me that Sean was the perfect quarterback at the perfect time. And it was well documented on the screen, all of his achievements. Sports has taken me everywhere, almost every major city in the United States and beyond. From the bright lights of Tokyo, where giant billboards of Ralph Sampson versus Phi Slamma Jamma towered over the city, to the sereneness of the riding dog sleds in the snowy wilderness of Anchorage, Alaska, to the quiet of sharing a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with the great Sam Snead while waiting out a rainstorm on the back nine at the Cascades in Hot Springs. I spent a day with Sam Snead right after his 80th birthday. I think he was in the second class ever elected to the Hall of Fame. For those of you who don't know who Sam Snead is, he won more PGA tournaments than any golfer in history, including Tiger Woods. They wrote about Sam Snead that watching him swing a golf club was like watching a fish swim. Had a little sidebar story on that, and I said, Sam, did you get any special birthday wishes for turning 80? And he said, yeah, generals, kings, queens, presidents, musicians, athletes. I said, anyone in particular? And he said, yeah, I had one in particular from Sam Burns, who was, George Burns, who was almost 100 years old at that time and a great comedian. You remember him with the cigar. And I said, what did he tell you? And he said, well, we had a long exchange, but it boiled down to he got me pretty good. I was trying to get him back. And so I said, George, I was in the grocery line the other day, and I saw one of those Scandal magazines and said 95-year-old George Burns dating 25-year-old blonde starlet. And I said, George, is that true? George Burns took a puff of his cigar on the other end and said, yes, Sam, that's true. And Sam said to George, well, isn't that a little dangerous? And Burns said, Sam, if she dies, she dies. One of my great fortunes in life was to cover the three kings in sports: Richard Petty, king of auto racing; Muhammad Ali, king of boxing; and Arnold Palmer, king of golf. One of the best times I ever had was when Arnold Palmer rebuilt the Keswick Club course. I was the only media guy that showed up. And they said, Mr. Ratcliffe, you have 25 minutes with Mr. Palmer, and you have 25 minutes with Lord Ashley of Laura Ashley fame, who had built the resort. Arnold and I hit it off great, had incredible 25-minute interview. We were interrupted by a little intern who said, Mr. Ratcliffe, if you'd like, we can move on to Lord Ashley right now. Well, I was pretty good with Arnold Palmer. I decided I was going to stay there. And I looked over at Arnold, and he winked at me, and I said, I'm good. The lady left. Arnold winked back and said, "Why mess with the Lord when you've got the King right here?" I just want to thank all the coaches and athletes and administrators for allowing me to share their stories with the world all these years. Incredible memories. I've been able to cover just about any sporting event you can imagine and talk to so many legendary people who all have given me special memories. Tonight tops them all, going into this great hall with so many of you. And I want to thank you for this night, which I will cherish forever. Thank you.